Good morning. My name is Jose Antonio Jaime. I'm from the Universidad Autónoma de Chihuahua, and I'm going to present you a brief history of SpaceX. Summarizing this presentation, we are going to go through the history of SpaceX, intending to inform and inspire the public and the general public and the people interested in the aerospace industry with the achievements of this formidable company, from them building a 27-engine rocket and successfully making the first self-landing rocket in the human history, to sending human beings to space and being the first private human flight to space. Why we decided to do this presentation? And it's simple. Space travel has been the dream of human beings since the Wright brothers flew in 1903. SpaceX is the present and we think it's the future of the aerospace industry. A few years ago, it was almost impossible to think that we could travel to Mars or even revisit the moon, and SpaceX is making that wishful dream coming to life. From winning a competition from NASA against behemoths of the aerospace industry as Boeing, and making a 27-engine rockets to achieve their first landmark in history of the aerospace industry, to sending humans to space, we're going to show you why SpaceX is so important in the human recent history. Starting, the Falcon 9 is the most advanced rocket in recent human history, and it is the key for the next generation of the aerospace industry, with a technology never seen before, with less expenses and a quest for a better future. And the SpaceX strategy is to win the new and unexplored market of the private space industry, taking companies and projects to space. In the long term, through the reusability of the core, lies the center of Elon Musk's strategy to win contract and open the space frontier by cutting launch costs to the minimum that the industry has never seen before. The engine of this rocket is the one I showed you. The Merlin engine that powers the Falcon. It uses an RP-1 and liquid oxygen as rocket propellants in a gas generator power cycle. And each engine is easier to develop, test, and verify. The challenge of flying the Merlin is in the gas generator power cycle, and each engine is easier to develop. Actually, the Merlin engine that powers the Falcon is the only new hydrocarbon engine to be successfully developed and flown in US soil in the past 40 years. It has the highest thrust-weight ratio of any boost successfully developed engine ever made. This engine features a reliable turbojump design with a single shaft for the liquid oxygen pump, the fuel pump, and the turbine. The engine uses a gas generator cycle instead of a more complex stage combustion cycle that regeneratively cooled and nozzle the thrust chamber. Use of mild copper alloy liner that provides large heat flux margins. Actually, a Printl injector provides inherent combustion and stability. With all this being said, SpaceX has a program called Starlink, that is a group of satellites that surpass the traditional satellite internet and global networks, unbounded by ground infrastructure limitations. Starlink will deliver high-speed internet to locations where it was unreliable or even unthinkable, and all thanks to the Falcon Heavy, making this having a huge advantage against the competition, offering more power per flight and the potential to carry multiple large satellites at once. And it is projected that by June, SpaceX will be mass producing the Merlin engines at the rate of one per week, with a total production capacity in the factory of 5 per week. So, the first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to put a commercial satellite in orbit was the 14th July of 2009, and the first private company to ever successfully launch, orbit, and recover a spacecraft was on 9th of December of 2010. These dates has been a remarkable achievement for aerospace industry, but one of the most important or the most known flights was the one that happened on 2018 February 6, and that was when the Starman was launched. On February 6, the rocket carried a Tesla Roadster, a test payload, and delivered into space. The Falcon Heavy rocket is the most powerful operation, and it is showing that it can launch up to 64,000 kilograms of payload into low Earth orbit. For the February test flight, the two-wing thruster flew in the early stages of the Falcon 9, and in the central core was recently built after the flight. The lateral thrusters landed. Also, the central thruster suffered engine failure and hit the ocean in place of landing on a floating landing pad as planned. It was significantly cheaper than any other heavy-lift launch vehicles to date, costing only for SpaceX $90 million for the Falcon Heavy to flight. In February of 2016, SpaceX indicated that they needed support to build 30 rockets per year at the end of it. And finally, we reach to the latest achievements of SpaceX. After nearly 2 decades, SpaceX successfully launches its first two people into orbit, ushering in a new age of human spaceflight. This flight marked the first time astronauts has launched into orbit from an American soil in nearly a decade, and the SpaceX is now the first company to send passengers to orbit in a private vehicle man-made. The two NASA astronauts were Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, that brought into space in the new automated spacecraft called the Crew Dragon, a capsule that was designed to take people to and from the International Space Station. And even though this mission was considered a test, it still carries enormous weight for the United States, and not only them, for the whole world. The last time people launched to orbit from the US was during the flight of NASA's Space Shuttle on July 8, 2011, and since then the Russian Soyuz rocket has been the only vehicle available to do crew flights to the International Space Station, and with just one seat on the Soyuz runs about NASA $80 million. And for SpaceX, it cost $90 million to launch the whole vehicle to space. NASA plans to use the collected data from the mission to certify the Crew Dragon to perform regularly into trips for and from the space station with astronauts aboard, entering into a new era of private companies flying to space and taking people to low orbit. SpaceX ambitions do not stop there. The company is actually and currently working on a new monster called the Starship, which may one day take humans to deep space destinations like the Moon and Mars. There are plenty of hurdles between that bold vision and reality, but today's success is a step in the right direction for the company, aiming to take people deeper into the cosmos. And that might be a small leap for the private aerospace industry, but it is a big leap for the human history. In conclusion, the first launch and test flight of SpaceX Falcon Heavy with the 27 Merlin engines marked an unprecedented achievement in the human history and future for the company. SpaceX next step is the Starship, as we previously mentioned, and the rocket is supposed to take us to Martian soil. And even though it seems that it is an impossible task, a SpaceX crew and Elon Musk demonstrated that anything is possible when you have the best people in that field working for a common goal. The future is always uncertain, but the sun is shining upon us and we must be excited of what it beholds for the space exploration and SpaceX. This is only the beginning of a new era and the space exploration era. Per aspera ad astra, and thank you. And here we are the references that we use for this research.